Remember back in the day when people thought Coby could beat Boa Hancock? He was a rare admiral after the time skip, so obviously he'd defeat Boa and get promoted to Vice Admiral. But then Oda remembered, wait. I don't like this guy. So he became a captain instead. Some people still had hope though. Maybe he'd beat her and still get that promotion. Well, we saw how that turned out. But I always thought a simple power scaling argument, the absolute healthiest community for discussion, could settle this. So here goes. There is a 0% chance of any Vice Admiral defeating any Shichibukai, and we'll prove it today exhaustively. So all government dogs, please report for duty and we'll check how they stack up against the Vice Admirals. First up, Trafalgar Law. At the time of his employment, maybe the weakest of them. He's battling lung cancer, aka the smoker, and he steals his heart. And not in the fanfiction sense. After fighting Black Virgo, Doflamingo told him, rest in peace. Law said, make it plural. So, Shichibukai greater than Vice Admiral. The natural next step, Mr. Fancy Pants and Featherboa, the flyest Shichibukai in the game, Don Quixote Doflamingo. Law's kind of uncle. When they had their family feud, this is how it went down. Yo, Law, you struggling right now. You want a hand? No. Why? You will. So, Doflamingo, greater than Law, greater than Vice Admiral. Moving on to Doflamingo's spiritual brother in quotes and almost partner, Mr. Sandman. Not alligator, not Cayman, but Crocodile. 1 point against him, he lost to a pre-time skip, pre-Gears Luffy. Yeah. Then he went to prison, got his act together, and apparently got his training up, and now he's tanking hits from Brilliant Punk Jozu, cutting off Mihawk, cutting up Akainu, clashing with Doflamingo, all with minimal damage. In the war, he was low-key an MVP candidate. Plus, this guy was there to arrest Buggy, named Stainless. He's a Vice Admiral. Crocodile showed up and was quite fine after that fight, so I assume Stainless changed his name. Sticking to the reptiles, let's talk about Gecko. He seems weak. What did you say? But that's PTSD Gecko. We need to look at young Moira. So back in his heavy metal days, he made it to Wano, went mano a mano with Kaido, survived, and escaped. These guys couldn't do that, and he still had a time to go grave robbing. Making it to Wano is a feat currently only done by these guys, so Lil Gecko is definitely taking out Vice Admiral. Now, let's talk the chunky boys. First, Mr. Whitebeard needs to see the paternity test, aka Edward. He's defeated 14 New World captains so far, and we've seen them at Marineford clashing equally with Vice Admirals, so you know the drill by now. Weevil, greater than Vice Admiral. Now, number 2 chunky boy, Jinbei. He dealt a dude who declined the Shichibukai invitation for 5 days straight. And that's flashback. In the present, he survived being grilled by Chef Akainu, handled Big Mom, and even went bowling with her. Reminder, this is how Yonko treat Vice Admirals. So for respecting his elders and not turning into sushi, chunky boy number 3, Blackbeard. At the time of hiring, he took down Ace. And that was when Ace pulled up on him, and he even hit him with a sucker punch. And Ace is Whitebeard's 2nd Division commander, so yeah, it's self-explanatory. The final chunky, Bartholomew Kuma. To understand him, we need to look at this tiny, minuscule, petite guy, Little Oz Jr. He fought Vice Admiral Lacroix at Marineford and turned him into sashimi, no sweat. But let him just step towards the Shichibukai, and Kuma says, You seem stressed. You need some air? Here. Have a breather. And this happens.
Oh, how cute! He named it. Oh shit!
Second to last Shichibukai, Dracule Mihawk. We don't have to talk about Mihawk. Let's move on. The last Shichibukai and the great Buggy. We don't have to talk about Buggy. But we will. Another time. He deserves his own video.
Buggy! Buggy!
Proof complete. So whether it's Captain Coby or Vice Admiral Coby or Vice Admiral anybody, Boa Hancock is crushing them. In fact, the minimum criteria to be hired as a Shichibukai is probably, can you wreck a Vice Admiral? Which leads to a bigger question. What was the point of these people, and why did the Marines keep them around for so long? On average, they do all of absolutely nothing. At worst, they're conducting covert coups, and even their best guy is a double agent. On paper, they're there to balance the great powers, but how? None of them individually can take on a Yonko, and they'd never work together unless forced to. Well, the answer lies at Marineford and the Pacifista, and as a bonus, that'll explain the Seraphim. Check the power scaling again. It goes Shichibukai greater than Vice Admiral equal to New World Captain greater than Pacifista. You see, the Shichibukai made a big difference, even if some of them weren't trying that hard. But more importantly for now, the Pacifista made a big difference. Their introduction changed the whole flow of the war. They messed up a bunch of pirates. Now, let's reimagine the war a little. Imagine it without the Pacifista and without the Shichibukai. And remember, Whitebeard started the war with a handicap. His second commander kidnapped and his fourth commander dead. So the war is now Whitebeard with full crew versus the Marines with no Shichibukai and no Pacifista. Things don't look so good for the Marines now, and I'm about to make it look even worse. Here's two facts. Fact number 1. Whitebeard was an MVP candidate for the war. He was a big man out here making big waves, bullying dudes and burying men alive. Fact number 2. Whitebeard is, low-key, the worst performer at Marineford. If it was up to him, Ace would have died. He tried to use his Conqueror's Haki to save him, but got a mini heart attack instead. He needed Luffy, the guy no one planned on showing up, to save the day. And Luffy was only there because he was paying attention while someone else was reading the newspapers. So this plan was this close to failing. While we're here, the biggest traitor in Marineford isn't Squad, it's Whitebeard's heart. Because it's not finished. It put Whitebeard under cardiac arrest again. And to prove it's a traitor, Akainu gave Whitebeard's heart a fist bump right after. Like, thanks for the hard work, you're our low-key MVP. Whitebeard getting fisted is the reason why Marco and Jozu got distracted. And this is One Piece, so we know how devastating distractions can be. And that's the big turning point of the war, when it went from 50-50-ish to it's a wrap for the Marines. So let's make things even worse. Make Whitebeard young and blonde again, and with a loyal heart. So it's Super Saiyan Whitebeard with full crew versus the Marines, no Shichibukai, no Pacifista. In that scenario, Marineford's going to be next door neighbors to Fishman Island.
It's going down.
That's why the Shichibukai are necessary. It doesn't matter how lazy they are, if they destroy a few innocent lives, or even if they coup kingdoms. When the worst possible hour comes, and the government is face to face with the full might of a Yonko Empire, as long as the Shichibukai show up then, it's all good. Mostly. It's why even an extremist like Akainu will silently allow Fujitora to criticize the system, because he knows the alternative is death to the global order. But everyone knew this was a solution that needed its own solution. Pirates are shifty creatures. Could you really trust this smile? So, the Pacifista are a partial solution to this problem. A mass-produced, completely obedient army, but a very partial solution. When pirates from paradise and unnamed New World subordinates can take you down, you get a C+ on your best day. That's why the Seraphim exist. Everything the government wanted. Powerful, obedient-ish, and they still have laser beams. If a Yonko shows up, they got this handled. But why would the government worry about this scenario? Yonko on their doorstep and they're caught napping? Because once upon a time, this was the exact scenario they were living in. Let's turn back the clock a little. Rocks had just died, leaving geologists unemployed and devastating ecosystems globally. People are celebrating everywhere. Until all those monsters Rocks kept cooped up in one ship like a Noah's Ark for Conqueror's Haki, they're now free, being fruitful and multiplying their own crews. In total, your piracy problem just got way worse. You're outmanned, outgunned, understaffed, and these pirates are out here snapping up property like Monopoly. What's a world government to do? Well, turn back the clock just a little bit more. Remember that time Rocks was alive and he was on his way to God Valley to live out his niche fantasies? And then he got stopped by the unthinkable. A pirate and a marine teaming up. You're the world government watching this, so you're thinking, if it's nice, do it twice. So, Roger started the Great Pirate Era, and together with Garp, he probably inspired the Shichibukai system. And that's the probable history of the Shichibukai, in a nutshell. Okay, that's the video. Bye!